to Vitamin G.
My brothers, welcome back here to Warrior Wealth, episode number 5, the Vitamin G session, as we dive deeper into the distinctions between two ways of thinking. The thinking of what we call the pretender and the thinking of the producer. Our desire here inside of this game is to help expand your capacity with the principles that actually support the ability for you to make money, keep money, and to grow money. To pull that off, though, we have to dive into the mind and help build a frame inside of which a container can be built so that the content we share with you can actually hit the ground running inside of structure. So we said the pretender and the producer were at war with each other. They didn't just exist inside of some of us, that the pretender is in you and the pretender is in me. You don't ever get rid of your pretender. It's part of your DNA. It's part of the opposite side of what actually would allow you to produce. But we need the pretender in order to truly value the work that it takes and the effort to change what defaults to pretender mindset to actually choosing to create the producer mindset. We've said that inside of this idea of pretender and producer exists something important, which are principles. These principles are the governing rules or philosophies that the pretender and producer operate by. Today, we're going to dive deeper into those principles that are driven from the source of scarcity for the pretender and also from the source of the soil known as abundance for the producer. The principle we'll look at today is going to add to the principles we've already covered up to this point. Let's start with the idea of the spender. Now, the spender is a way of seeing someone who deals with money. Now, you are a spender and I am a spender, no question about it. But the spender mindset is a perspective of constant and utter immediate gratification and consumption. Again, not a problem to be one who consumes, not a problem to be one who wants things, but the spender operates from almost an addiction level of taking money they make and putting it out the door. The spender mindset happens to be mostly down the path of the gambler, an individual who thinks that business is luck, an individual who believes that life itself is just happenstance and that maybe one day they'll be blessed enough to have some money. Problem is, every time they get money, they behave with the money in a way that would actually have the money not work out for them for long. Now, some have asked me, is this possible that the spender mindset, which is spend first, whatever money I have, I blow it out the door, this individual has been looked at and said, well, does this exist in everybody? Does a spender exist in somebody who makes tens of millions a year in take home, or does it only exist in somebody who makes a few thousand? Truth is, a spender exists inside of everyone. And the frame around which you believe about and experience your spender changes everything. Some, the only thing they're great at is spending money. They don't know how to do it any different. Like their greatest skill set in life is spending money. This is most of the political system we've seen and most of the politicians that you and I know. They're masters at spending, particularly spending other people's money. They don't spend their own money maybe that way, but they operate from that frame of there's this never-ending supply and my only goal and thought is, what can I buy? There's an opposing one that operates inside of the same space, which is that of the saver. Now, savers are totally different. Savers exist from this place of scarcity. Spenders do too. Savers do also. Spenders exist from scarcity? Yes. Because everything in their life is they have to have something more. The idea of having money sitting in an account is a total fucking waste of money. They might as well go buy some shit with it and enjoy their life. Saver, on the other hand, looks at things from a different place. They're the other extreme. Inside of scarcity, they're the ones that hoard most of the money they have. They're individuals who act like they're always fucking broke, even though their bank accounts may not even state that at all. They're people who believe that the greatest high in life comes from actually storing away money. Now, the problem is the true savers at the core, who are savers, don't tend to enjoy life much at all. They're men who die when their legacy comes to an end, and they leave all of their money to a whole generation of children and relatives that were raised up in the opposing version of the saver. The opposing version of the saver is the spender. See, my parents didn't have much money, and my mom was a saver beyond saver, beyond saver, beyond saver, beyond saver. So of course it was only natural that I would become a spender. Both the spender and the saver operate from scarcity. It sounds crazy to say this. You're like, if I spend money, I'm operating from scarcity. Okay. If I focus only on saving money, I'm also coming from a place of scarcity. Okay. These two things of spending and saving, they sit as the only two options that most of us were ever raised to believe about money, business, and production. I make money and I either blow it, I make money and I have no fun and I save it. And there's a few people who have played in this balance, but they've spent most of their life in a teeter-totter, blowing too much money or saving money and not having much fun. Neither one actually experiencing the abundance of the money that sits inside of their lives. They're stuck in a roller coaster of emotions, feeling guilty for what they buy, and also feeling angry, upset, and frustrated because of how much they save and how little they feel like they live. There's a third perspective inside of this, though, and that is that of the investor. Now, the investor spends money. The investor also saves money. The investor does both of these things. The investor operates from this place of being able to commit to purchasing assets. They invest in people, they invest in processes. While the spender buys shit and the saver puts all their money away and thinks they're legit, the investor invests in people and processes and in themselves. They look to buy assets that actually increase the value of their financial lives. Their first thought isn't, how can I take this money I just got and blow it on some shit? There are also other ideas, not how do I take this money I have and simply save it away. The investor says, listen, how can I enjoy the benefits of spending with the protection mechanism of saving while at the same time growing and expanding my financial empire? This mindset of the investor is important. But also even inside of that place, though years ago I believed the investor was the ultimate perspective and that being a business owner and investing in assets was my ultimate desire, I too fell short in that place, limited by simply these three perspectives of the spender, the saver, and the investor. There is a higher version of these three perspectives, and it is the ultimate frame that you gain here inside the game under the Warrior Wealth mindset. That is the perspective of the king. See, the king understands that inside the kingdom there is opportunity to spend, to enjoy the finer things in life, to save in order to protect for a rainy day and to also build a legacy that won't go away, and also to invest in people, processes, and physical resource and assets in order to fortify the kingdom with a vault at the core and victory on the outside. The king looks at the kingdom not just in how it operates today, but also on how the people inside of that kingdom get to play. He also looks at, can we sustain that play, and can we sustain the way that we are currently spending, saving, and operating inside of this way. So this idea then of the king is a comprehensive one that covers all three. All three of these perspectives of the spender, the saver, and the investor all have a limitation. The limitation is one unified frame that brings them all together. The pretender sees things from a place of spending and saving. Sees it from a place of understanding where they're at, but at the same time being confused that the spender or saver mindset is only one of two choices. Either I'm going to blow my money or I'm going to save my money. Either I'm going to say fuck it and I'm going to live like a king today and then weather away without any money, or I'm going to pull the game that many big-time professionals have, and which is just save all my money for a rainy day. And so these two perspectives leave me stuck, leave me stranded, and leave me operating in this limitation. Man, I have to either blow all my money or I have to save all my money, and saving all my money is not that fun, and even if I have fun doing that, I don't get to do many cool things because I'm too fucking stressed out to spend the money. Or I'm a spender and I enjoy all the money now, but I'm always paranoid that I'm going to run out. Inside of this place then, for our producer looks at the following and says this. There's not only the angle of spending, there's not only the angle of saving, but there's also the angle of being an investor. That a spender, saver, and investor ultimately all collide together to become the frame of the king. that the ultimate producer is a man who looks at himself and his people and his life from the king vision perspective. The king vision perspective allows for the king to produce at a higher level with purpose, understanding that part of life is about blowing fucking money and having fun. King understands that part of life is also about saving, putting together a vault at the core of the kingdom, building infrastructure to support financially the family for long periods of time. The king also understands that you must invest in people, processes, and ultimately assets to support the perpetual growth and expansion of making the money, keeping the money, and growing the money inside the kingdom. So our ultimate target is for you to be able to live from this place, the producer perspective of the king, who intertwines all three of these aspects without having to limit himself to simply a this or that perspective of the world. So my question for you as we wrap up this particular vitamin G is this: where must you level up as a producing king? If you were to operate as a king inside of these three areas, as spender, saver, and investor, as a king, where must you level up as a producing king? Some of you may be very good at spending money, but you're shitty at saving. Some of you may be very good at saving money, but you're shitty at spending. You're that cheap son of a bitch that nobody likes to hang out with. The guy that orders water and expects somebody else to pay for gas on the boat all the time. Fuck you, cheap bastard. Or maybe you're a guy that just blows all your money. You're like, dude, really? Another fucking car? You don't need another car. You can barely pay your bills and hit payroll. What the fuck are you doing? Or maybe you need to level up as an investor, which is start investing in people to support the king, also processes to support the king and the kingdom, and ultimately assets that allow for the kingdom to perpetuate itself into the future. So my question as we conclude this is this: where must you level up as a producing king?